everybody. I'm Jennifer Fine, and I want to walk through some of the differences in working with YouLi Web, YouLi custom web builds, as compared to working with a WordPress site or some of the other options out there. So many of our customers have come to us and asked, why do we have our own CMS and we control our own code for our website builds as compared to working with something like a WordPress or a Wix or a Squarespace. And this video is going to try to explain some of the advantages of the way that we do things compared to the way that WordPress does things. So we're going to use an example here, and that example is Adventure Out Loud. So they're a client of YouLi Web, and we're currently building them a custom website. So that means that we are talking with them to design the best website that we can for them. So I want to talk to you first before we get into what we are hoping to build for them. I want to talk to you about why they came to us. So as you can see, this is their current website, adventureoutloud.me. You can see right away the traveler is bombarded with a pop-up here to get a free African guide ebook and a pop-up here to chat with Adventure Out Loud. So right away, as a visitor to this site, I have to close a bunch of things and get those out of the way. And when I first engaged with the owner of Adventure Out Loud, I asked whether or not he wanted to keep the pop-up because I felt like he needed to choose between the chat or the pop-up. He said, "Oh, actually, I really want this pop-up to go away, but I don't know how to make it go away." So this is our first example of the kind of problem that you can have with a WordPress website, which is that, yes, there are a million plugins and so many different ways to turn things on, but actually that can be a detriment because if you just turn things on and you don't understand the impact of that on your user's customer experience, you can end up creating situations like this that you didn't know you made, and then when you realize you've done it, you may have forgotten how to undo it. So it's really important to work with people who are experts in designing these kinds of things and making a really positive user experience so that your travelers are driven to where they really need to be, which is getting information about your trips and ultimately booking onto them. So this is a really easy win for us. We're going to help make this much cleaner, and we're going to ultimately drive them to a chat experience rather than this pop-up experience here. So that was one of the first things that we tackled in our kickoff design call. So another thing I wanted to point out here is you can see that the current website is built in WordPress 4.9. And as of the recording of this, WordPress is on version 5.5. By the time you watch this, it will probably be on version 5.6, and so on. WordPress is constantly changing. All good software is, because you have to keep up with the changing times, and you have to keep up with the fact that various vulnerabilities or attack vectors are being discovered. So the fact that this website is not up to date means that it is vulnerable to certain issues. Now, this may or may not matter for this particular website, but it's always a scary thing, and you never want to experience the pain of having your website hacked. And so that's one of the things that when you have a WordPress site and you're not working with someone who's maintaining it for you, that means that you're responsible for making sure that it's kept up to date. So that means in between your trips and in between making sure your customers are happy and safe, you're having to come into WordPress and click the update button and hope that it doesn't break everything when you do run those updates, and then hoping that you know who to call if it does break something when you run that update. So that's one of the downsides of working with WordPress as compared to working with a company like YouLi, because we make sure that our websites are actually always up to date, and that's something we just do for you. So we never make that your problem, and that's just built into the hosting and maintenance fees that we charge as part of the YouLi custom builds. So here's another downside to the current site. So if you are concerned about SEO, which everyone really should be, so SEO is search engine optimization, and these days mostly that's Google, so we'll sort of focus on them for the moment. And one of the most important things from Google's perspective in terms of what a simple website, so if you're not a high volume, high content website, one of the things that you get ranked on really has to do with your page speed. So page speed is a huge, huge impact on your SEO and whether or not you're going to get listed on those first pages of Google, especially for your brand name. So I just wanted to show you here, this is adventureoutloud.me. This is the WordPress version. This is on mobile. It's ranking 15. So as you can see, it's very much on the low end of this scale. So Google really wants you to be sort of, moving up here. And one of the things is just that it takes over 3 seconds to get that first screen showing, and as well as a number of other problems, especially a lot of unused JavaScript. So if you're sitting there thinking, oh, I have no idea how to read this, I don't know what any of this means, that's exactly right. And you shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to worry about this. That's what companies like YouLi do for you. So we understand these things and we know how to make them better. And so I can show you an example of this. Now, Adventure Out Loud is not fully live with us on their custom website yet, so I'm going to show you the temporary website that we built for them in the meantime so they can start to build their SEO. So we've built our free YouLi Web platform is connected to YouLi Trips, so anyone on a premium subscription with YouLi Trips gets this website template for free. So Adventure Out Loud is camping out on this simple website for a little while until they get their full custom build. So here you can see an example of how he's already, without having gone through that full, multi-week process of doing the designs and getting the website built, he's already live with trips. So for example, his Lara Pinta trip, 12 days, this is an Australian one. Some beautiful experiences involved in this, and he's gone live with us with no dev work from us. So he's completely set this up himself, and he's completely in control of that. And if we just pop over to the page speed really quickly, so we can see on mobile, adventureoutloud.com.au, that's the new sort of YouLi plug and play website that he's launched as his temporary site, is ranking 71. So this is without any custom optimizations. This is just out of the box already in the 71 range on mobile and 86 on desktop. So this is the difference, right? So here you can see it took 0.4 seconds to load the first content on the YouLi plug and play website as compared to 3.3 seconds on the WordPress version of his site. Now, yeah, it's always hard to compare sites, but I think the important thing to recognize here is that something with a really, really heavy framework like WordPress is always going to be slower than something that is lightweight, like the websites that we build for our clients. And not only that, when we work to build out the custom pages, we will make sure that these trips, these embedded trips, seamlessly merge into the design of that ultimate website. And that means that all you have to do when you're editing your trips, so this is the back end of YouLi Trips, all you have to do is check and uncheck that box, and they will appear and disappear off of your shop that appears on your website. And we will show you all of that as you onboard with our, when we kick off to do the design phase and we talk about what's going to be built directly custom into your personal website and what you can do in YouLi from day one. So working with us is a really, really valuable way to get started quickly. As we know, you want to get back on that trail. You don't want to be sitting here fighting with WordPress and wondering why this pop-up is here and wondering what chat app to have and wondering why does this look not quite the way I want it to. I wish I knew what I was doing. I wish I could make this more matched to my brand. Well, if that's how you're feeling because you want us to just make that happen for you so you can be this person sitting out there in the real world experiencing the adventures that you create for your travelers with them, then YouLi Custom Web is really the solution for you. Now I look forward to in a future video showing you the big reveal of the final version of Adventure Out Loud's custom YouLi Web.